Hello, and welcome to A Whole New Way of Learning. We'd like to tell you a little bit about how Your Baby Can Read got started, and about how you can best use this series in order to help your child learn to read. Based on the research of Dr. Robert C. Titzer, Your Baby Can Read is the first video series in the world specifically designed to help babies, toddlers, and preschoolers learn to read. Here's Dr. Titzer.
The idea for the video series all started while my first child, Alika, was a very young baby. I knew that her brain was developing faster during this time than at any other time, so I did as many stimulating and fun activities with her as I could. One of the things that I tried to do was to teach her written language, or to expose her to the written part of the word as well as just talking to her. So I made a video for her, and on the video I put the words and then said the words and then acted out the words. She enjoyed looking at the words so much that we continued to do this even though I had no idea that she was actually learning how to read until she was about 8 months old. Well, she actually looked at the words for about 5 months before I noticed that she was learning how to read the words. And one time when she was watching the video, the volume was all the way down and the word foot came on, and I noticed that she touched her foot, and I thought, oh, how interesting, she's memorized the order of the words. Then I shuffled the words up into a different order to see if she had memorized more than simply the order of the words on the video, and she still recognized the words even when they were in a different order. That is why we changed the order of the words in the second half, so that the children learn more than the order of the words. At first, the babies are only memorizing the words. In other words, they develop the simple association between the shape of the word and the sound of the word. However, they can also pick up the pattern of the written language. Let me explain how this works. We know that toddlers learn the patterns of the spoken language naturally. Almost all toddlers learn this without ever being told. If they hear enough words, they know to add an ed onto a word to make it past tense, or to add an s onto words to make them plural. We know that they pick up the pattern, and they don't learn all the individual instances of all the words. We know this because occasionally they will apply the pattern, for instance, add an ed, even when the word doesn't use that pattern. For example, they may say the word goed instead of went to try to make the word go past tense, but that word doesn't follow the pattern. That's how we know that they actually picked up the pattern. At first, Alika was learning the simple association between the shape of the word and the sound of the word. But she was actually learning more than the individual words. She was beginning to pick up the pattern of the language, just like the toddlers were picking up the pattern of the spoken language. In other words, after learning many words that started with the letter B, for instance, baby, bib, and bottle, she figured out all by herself that the letter B made the B sound. After she figured out enough patterns of different letters, then she started to read words that she had never seen before. So babies can actually learn to read words they've never seen before by learning phonics in what I call the natural phonics way, where they figure out the pattern of the language naturally, just like toddlers naturally figure out the pattern of the spoken language. It will take many months of babies learning individual words before they begin to pick up the pattern of the written language. They need to learn probably hundreds of words before they begin to pick up the pattern of the language. Well, I call it multi-sensory reading because the baby gets to see the word, hear the word, and then often do some kind of physical action related to the word. So for instance, if the word is clap, the baby see the word clap, hear the word clap, then they clap themselves if they can, or the parent can gently help them clap. And then they also get to see the meaning of the word. So according to theories of brain development, multisensory learning should actually allow new connections in the brain from the somatosensory cortex, the area of the brain that receives information from the movement of the body parts, to the visual cortex, the area that receives the visual information, and from the visual cortex to the auditory cortex, as well as from the auditory cortex to the somatosensory cortex. It's actually easier to learn if you're learning through several senses at the same time, and also you should be able to remember the information better. because there are new connections in the brain that are formed. The understanding of the word should be better when you learn through several senses at the same time.
Reading is probably the most important skill a parent can give a child.
Reading is fun for babies and toddlers.
Children learn language skills faster and easier during infancy than at any other time.
The window of opportunity for learning language will begin to close by age 4.
Learning to read influences many other aspects of a child's life in a positive way. In controlled studies, early readers maintain their advantage throughout their childhood, even when compared to other children with the same IQ and socioeconomic status. Remember, your child's brain is developing faster during infancy than it will later in childhood.
Babies' brains have more neuroplasticity than older children's brains. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change how it develops based on its environment.
This means that it is possible that your baby's brain could adapt to read in a more efficient manner if your child learns to read earlier.
Current methods of teaching reading are not working for many children.
40% of 8-year-olds in the U.S. cannot read independently, and many who can read do so at low levels.
Maybe it is because we are waiting until the window of opportunity for learning language begins to close before we teach reading.
Finally, a national panel of reading specialists agreed that most of our nation's reading problems could be eliminated if we began teaching reading at an earlier age.
First of all, make sure your baby is seated upright so that the shapes of the words will not be distorted. You should encourage your baby to participate. If your baby cannot clap, for instance, you could gently assist your baby while clapping. Or if your baby doesn't know her body parts, you could help your baby touch her nose or her elbow or whatever the word is. Or you could touch your own elbow and show your baby while the video is going. After the first several times of helping your baby will also benefit greatly just simply from watching the video and then participating. One of the things I strongly encourage you to do is to say the words out loud after they're spoken on the video, so your baby gets in the habit of saying the words as she or he can say the words. Please try to encourage your baby to say the words after they are spoken. For the best results, I strongly encourage you to allow your baby to see words on a regular basis. This is very important. For instance, when you're reading to your child, point to words in books as you say them, if there aren't too many words on the same page. If there are many words on the same page, simply highlight a few words while you're reading. Also, print words on paper for your child to see. Begin by saying the word as you show it to your child.
Daddy! Daddy!
Then show or tell your child the meaning of the word. Later, you can play fun, interactive word games with the words. Try to do this on a regular basis. Which one of these goes on this word here?
Dora. Dora.
Very good, sweetie. Remember, for the best results, allow your baby to watch the videos about twice a day in addition to showing your baby words in books or on word cards.
A tiger.
Where's my word? Where's the word tiger?
This one.
Very good. I think one of the reasons why the video works so well with both of my children is they rarely watched other TV. I think this is very important to not watch too many TV programs.
Soon the big bad wolf saw a little brick house. Saw the 3 little pigs. The big bad wolf. Pigs ran into the house. The wolf knocked on the door. Little pigs, let me come in, called the wolf. No, we will not let you come in. Not by the hair of our shins, cried the pigs.